It started in the middle of winter. One of those long gray weeks when the cold just seeps into your bones. I'd been pushing through work, trying to ignore a little tickle in my throat. You know that feeling. The one that whispers, "Take a break," but you don't listen. By the third day, that tickle had turned into a cough that felt like it was coming from my chest. Every time I spoke, it scratched and burned. My voice, usually steady and warm, came out thin and tired. I tried everything. Cough drops, hot tea, lemon, even those store-bought syrups that promise miracles in a bottle. But nothing really worked. I could barely sleep, and my chest felt heavy, like there was a weight sitting on it. Then, one morning, after another night of coughing fits, I remembered something my grandmother used to tell me when I was a little girl. She'd say, "Sweetheart, when your throat is sore, reach for what the bees make. Honey will heal what medicine forgets." Back then, I never really understood what she meant. But that morning, standing in my quiet kitchen, I thought about her calm voice, her steady hands, and I reached for the jar of honey I kept in the cupboard. It wasn't anything fancy, just raw, golden honey in a simple glass jar. I set it on the counter, turned on the kettle, and waited. When I opened the lid, that familiar scent filled the air, floral, warm, like sunshine and summer fields. I dipped a spoon into the jar and held it up. The honey caught the morning light and glowed like liquid gold. "Liquid sunlight," I whispered. That's what I started calling it. Liquid sunlight. It made me smile, even though I still felt rough. When the water was ready, I poured it into my favorite mug. Not too hot, just warm enough. I watched as the honey slid off the spoon, curling and melting into the water. I stirred it slowly, watching the gold fade into amber. Then I took a sip. The first thing I noticed was the warmth. It didn't just touch my throat, it wrapped around it. It soothed the rawness, the dryness. It wasn't tea, instant magic. Not the kind of cure you'd see on a commercial, but it was real. It was comfort in a cup. So I kept doing it. Morning and evening, I'd sip honey and warm water. I started calling it my little ritual. 5 quiet minutes just for me. I'd sit by the window, look at the bare trees outside, and just breathe. The coughing started to ease. Little by little, my chest stopped hurting. My voice came back, soft at first, then steady again. But it wasn't just the honey that helped me heal, it was the slowing down. You see, life moves so fast. We rush through pain, through exhaustion, through discomfort, always trying to fix it quickly. But honey doesn't work that way. It teaches you patience. You wait for it to melt, you sip it slowly, and it teaches you to be still. A week later, I woke up without that heavy feeling in my chest. My throat felt clear. My voice had strength again. I felt human, alive. The kind of relief that only comes when you've taken care of yourself. The gentle way, soft sound, kettle whistling again. Now, it's become a part of my life. Not just for when I'm sick, but when I need grounding. When the world feels too loud or heavy. Some mornings I stand in the same kitchen and do it all over again. Spoon, honey, water, stir, sip. Every time, it feels like I'm pouring a bit of peace back into myself. Sometimes, I think about my grandmother while I do it. She used to sit on her porch, rocking slowly in her old chair, and talk about how nature gives us what we need, if only we stop long enough to notice. I never realized how right she was until that winter. There's something sacred about simple remedies. No chemicals, no labels, just warmth, patience, and a bit of sweetness. Honey is more than a taste. It's a story. It's sunlight turned into gold by the hands of tiny creatures. It's the earth reminding us to heal gently, not forcefully. Now, when friends tell me they have a cough or sore throat, I tell them the same thing I learned the quiet way. Forget the quick fixes for a moment. Go to your kitchen, warm some water, dip your spoon into the honey, let it drip like slow sunlight, and call it what it is. A small act of care. Because healing isn't just about getting better. It's about remembering that your body listens when you treat it kindly. Pause. Sound of sipping. It's been months now since that winter. The cough is long gone, but I still make my honey water every morning. I guess it's my way of starting the day with gratitude for warmth, for health, for quiet. And every time I see that golden swirl in my cup, I think to myself, here's to a little more sunlight.